But just wanted to let you guys know that we have officially started the recording, and this will be uploaded into our YouTube channel, which will also be, that information will be presented to you at the end of the session. So just moving on here. So this is kind of like a little timeline that I created that kind of gives you a good idea of what this session is going to cover. So we're going to talk about creating a YouTube account, downloading Zoom recordings, uploading to YouTube, and then deleting those Zoom recordings because now we don't need them there taking up space because we have uploaded them into YouTube. So that's just a quick little timeline for you. I'm going to transition into our first portion of this, which is creating a YouTube account. So here's something very interesting. Google, YouTube, Google owns it. So therefore you must have a Google account in order to create a YouTube account. So that was just a little bit of information that you need to know. So if you already have a Gmail, you're set. And if you don't have a Google account, don't worry. We're going to be walking through this step by step as though you do not have a Google account to begin with. Some benefits of having a YouTube account. So one of the great things is that once you've already started your YouTube channel or your YouTube account, any videos that you upload of anything, of your Zoom recordings, all of that will be saved to your Gmail. And that's going to follow you wherever you go. So that's one of the great things about that. Also, whenever you upload anything into YouTube, YouTube automatically creates captions for any uploaded videos, which is really great because we want to make sure that all of our students are having all of their needs met. And if some students rely on captions to help guide them, then that's going to be a great thing that YouTube provides automatically. So we're moving right in, creating a YouTube account. Step one, let's go to YouTube. So we're going to be going to, youtube.com, search. We're going to click on that channel. And right when you do, this is your home page. And just so you guys know, the way I set up all my presentations is I love to create these little screenshots of the process, and these little arrows that kind of direct you step by step. And then at the very end, I always like to create a video link to play out those steps that I just took a screenshot of. So that way you kind of get the information in two different ways. So once you go to YouTube, this is kind of what you're going to see on the top of the page. And right away, you're going to be directed to sign in. And when you click this sign in button, this is what's going to appear. It's going to ask for you to either sign into your Gmail if you have one, or to create an account. So for this example, I'm going to pretend that I do not have a Gmail account and that I'm going to be accessing YouTube by creating a Google account. I know it sounds kind of confusing, but don't worry. Once you create a Google account, that same password and email that you use is the same for YouTube. So anytime you access your YouTube, it's going to ask you just to sign into your Gmail. It's not going to ask for multiple usernames and passwords. So that's one of the added benefits of having a Gmail account. So I'm going to click on to the next. And so I'm going to say, click create an account. And then I'm going to choose for myself or to manage my business. And I'm going to pick for myself. And you see that little red arrow right there. That's a selection I'm going to make. And again, I'm not running a business. This is just something that I'm going to post for my colleagues or for my students to see. So this is just for myself. And then once you click that, it's going to present this page to you. It's going to ask you to fill out some information, your first and last name, your email address, or to create a new Gmail address instead. And then it's going to ask for you to generate your own password and to confirm that password. So once you do this, you really want to make sure that it's a password that you'll be familiar with, that you're not going to forget, and then you're going to click next. So those are the steps that we're going to be following when we're creating a Google account, because we don't have one. So that's what we're following here. Now, right here, what I did is I found this really great YouTube link, And I'm only going to play it till 1 minute and 38 seconds because this first portion of this YouTube link plays out those steps that I just screenshotted in creating a YouTube account to upload your Zoom recordings. So I'm going to play on this. And before I do that, I'm going to make sure that I am sharing my computer sound. All right. Here we go.
To get the
Make that bigger. All right.
most out of YouTube, you'll need to sign in with a Google account. And if you want to upload videos, you'll also need to create a YouTube channel. In this video, we'll show you how to get a Google account and use it to sign into YouTube and create a YouTube channel. Keep in mind that a Google account and a YouTube channel are not exactly the same thing. If you have a Google account, you can use it to sign into YouTube to like videos and subscribe to your favorite creators. When signed in, you'll also get personalized video recommendations based on your activity. Having a YouTube channel lets you upload your own videos and gives you a public presence on YouTube. If you already have a Google account, you can use it to sign into YouTube. Just enter the email address that you would use for other Google products. For example, if you have a Gmail account, use that email address and password when you sign in. If not, you can easily create a Google account directly from YouTube. Start by going to youtube.com or opening the YouTube app. If you're on a computer, click Sign In, then click Create Account. From here, you'll be asked to fill in your information. If you're on a mobile device, select the profile picture icon, and then tap Sign In. You'll see a plus sign, which you can select to add an account. Choose Create Account from the sign-in page. Now that you're signed in, there's a lot you can do.
Okay, so like I said, that little video there kind of just played out the screenshots that I had laid before you guys before this YouTube link. So now I'm going to transition into downloading your Zoom recordings. So real quick, Amanda, were there any questions that I need to address about creating a Gmail in order to have access to YouTube?
Not about that step. There is a question about captions, but I feel like you're going to cover that later, so we'll hold on to that.
If there's a question on captions, I think I addressed it as far as as far as one of the benefits is that YouTube automatically creates captions for any uploaded videos.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were going to touch on it later. The question was if you can edit those captions.
Oh, not that I'm aware of. There's, you're not really able to edit anything that's going to be played out in the video, captions included. If you would have to have like some editing software, or you would pay, I think you can pay extra to have added features like that. But as far as the free version, it automatically generates the captions. And if you're worried about providing the correct captions, or if you're wanting to make any corrections to be known to the students, I mean, that can be something that you can attach in the Canvas when you post that YouTube link, or just let the students know, hey, the captions, it should be saying this instead of that. I mean, that's an availability that maybe you can address those corrections within your Canvas page on where you post that link. So.
Perfect.
Were there any
Thank
other
you.
questions? No?
No.
Okay. All right. That was a good question. So now we're going to be transitioning to a different section, which is downloading your Zoom recordings. So theoretically speaking, you have now created a YouTube account / Gmail. It's all the same thing here. And so now we need to download the Zoom recordings so they're saved to our computer before we can upload them into the YouTube account. So this is how we're going to go about that. We're going to, it's stated exactly what I just said, how silly me. So once you have all of this in order with YouTube, you have to log into your alamo.zoom.us account. Even if you created your Zoom meetings in Canvas, the only way that you're able to get a download of all your Zoom recordings is by going to alamozoom.us. So for those of you who use Canvas to create your Zoom meetings, you have to think of Alamo Zoom as kind of like the mothership or the hub of where you can access all of the meetings that are being created in your different Canvas courses. And if you don't make your meetings in Canvas, you make them in Alamo Zoom, they're still, the directions are still going to be the same. So I just wanted to point that out. So right away, I typed into my Alamo Zoom and I clicked onto the recordings button. And after I click that recordings button, I now get a list of all the recordings for my different Zoom meetings. So then I'm going to make my selection and I'm going to click on the word files. Okay. And when I do that, this is an image that's going to be very similar that will be generated. It's showing that I have two files here. One of them is a chat file because I like to save the chats for my recordings. But in this case, all I want to download is the video. So I'm going to click this little arrow right here. And when I do that, it's going to start saving to my computer. And now I know I can find this recording being saved. I simply click to recent downloads. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play out this little YouTube recording I made, playing out those screenshots.
The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to download your Zoom recordings. So first you're going to go to the alamo.zoom.us. You are going to sign in. Then you're going to click on recordings. If you've already conducted some Zoom meetings and you have selected to have them record to the cloud, this is where you would go to find these Zoom recordings. Now, when you find a recording that you would like, you would then click on Files. And then you're going to select which file you want to download. Because I will not need to download the chat file that I've saved. I will just need to share the screen with the speaker view. And if you're not sure which item you should download, you can always click on the title and then you can actually see it out in front of you. And you're like, oh, this is the recording that I want. So then you can go back and then you can click download, which is this little arrow right here. I'm going to start my download process, and here I'm going to see the file begin to download. Depending on the size of the recording, this may take a few minutes. Now that my file is downloaded, I'm going to exit that and I'm going to go view this file. So I'm going to click on my files, and then I'm going to click on downloads. I've clicked on downloads, and right up here I can see my video that has been downloaded in Zoom. So now that I've downloaded my Zoom, I am now ready to share or upload this video.
Okay, so as I stated before, that Zoom link, this little video I created, was just a play out of these screenshots for you. So now I'm going to...
Sharing your screen in Zoom is a must-know skill, but do you know these 7 tips? In today's video...
Okay, so that was not a Zoom bomber. Sorry about that. I didn't exit out of that YouTube thing correctly. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition into uploading saved recordings to Zoom. So before I do that, I want to make sure that we don't have any questions before I move on to uploading. Yes.
Oh, sorry. We might have one question. I think I answered it, but Mark, you may have to unmute yourself just so I can understand your question a little bit better, because I'm not sure if I answered it, or you can unmute yourself and say you did. Because Mark asked, was the video downloaded to her machine also uploaded to YouTube? And I wasn't sure which video you were referring to, so I wanted to make sure I answered that properly. Do you have a second to unmute yourself, Mark? Well, The answer I gave in the chat was that the video needs to be downloaded first in order to upload to YouTube. And then once the video is uploaded, you can delete the downloaded video from your computer.
That is, yes, that is correct. So yes, anything that you need to upload into YouTube, as far as any Zoom recordings go, your Zoom recordings must be downloaded to your computer. There's no way to skip that step. You can't just open up your Zoom recordings and click and drag into YouTube. I mean, that's not gonna work. So it needs to be downloaded, because that download converts it into an MP3. And then once it's in an MP3 format, that's when that MP3 can then be shared up into YouTube. So hopefully, Mark, that answered those questions.
Can y'all
That
hear me?
question.
Are y'all able to hear me?
Okay, yes, now we can.
Well, I thought, Mallory, you had downloaded the Zoom recording, and then from there you went to YouTube and opened a video. And so I was confused on.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
what you saw was anytime you download a Zoom recording to your computer, it pops up in the Windows Media Player. And it starts to
But
play
you
what.
you went to YouTube and opened a video, right? And we just watched that, didn't we?
Oh, no, yes. I recorded the process of downloading a Zoom recording, and I shared that, and I
Previously.
created a share link for YouTube. Yeah, so
Okay, so that was not the one you downloaded from Alamo Zoom. That was a video in YouTube that you had downloaded previously. Yeah, I was just confused about that step. I didn't know if it was automatic or whether you.
No, I use YouTube as a tool to play out my screenshots in my presentation. And it just so happens that I'm using YouTube to explain about YouTube. But you have to think of this share link right here is something that is a YouTube tool, right? It's a tool that I'm using from YouTube, but the content inside it was me showing you that you have to download your Zoom recording to your computer first before you can upload anything to YouTube. So
Gotcha.
in this next process, you're gonna see that transition of that saved item to my computer going into YouTube. And I know it's a little confusing because I'm sharing out a YouTube link to demonstrate that, but it just, I don't want that to confuse you. That's just the method of which I'm demonstrating that process.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, so we're gonna transition into uploading the Zoom recording. So this is the screenshot. So we've already created a Gmail, and now we have access to YouTube. We've already downloaded our Zoom recording. So now this is the step that you're gonna take to put that Zoom recording that is downloaded into your computer and put it into YouTube. So just as before, you're gonna go to YouTube, youtube.com, and then you're going to see this little icon here, and it kind of looks like a video camera and has a little plus sign. And when you click on that, it's going to ask if you would like to upload a video. And we're gonna click upload video. And then this is the image that's going to be displayed. And then you're going to click select files. And when you click select files, that's when you're gonna go into your computer, select recent downloads. And then when you do that, that Zoom recording that I downloaded is going to appear. And it's gonna ask you for some details about this Zoom recording. What's the title of it? Is there a detailed description? And once you fill out that information, it's going to click next. Now, if you remember when I downloaded, it had that GMT title and all these numbers that appear, and that's what's going a usual title that's generated by Zoom every time you download something. You can override that and you can call it whatever you like. And then you would click next. And when you click next, it's going to prompt you with some questions like, is this made for kids? No, it's made for adults. And then you would click next. Now it's going to ask for video elements. You don't need to worry about that. We're not going to be having any video elements. We're not paying extra for anything super crazy there. So we're just going to click next. And now it's going to ask visibility. Do you want this video to be private, unlisted, or public? And after you make your selection, you will then click save. Now, before I move on to that next step, I want to explain to you the differences between private, public, and unlisted. So I have two visuals here to kind of help you with that. So when you want something unlisted, that means you can share a YouTube link, and that anyone with that YouTube link can see it. It can be added into a YouTube channel if you decide to make one, but if a student tries to type in that title of that video because he or she wants to see it and they're trying to search for it in YouTube, they can't find it because it's unlisted. And it will not appear in your channel. So if you subscribe to a channel and you're trying to find that video and it's unlisted, you're not going to find it. So you need to keep that in mind. If you keep something private, you can't share a URL. You have zero people the only people that can see this video if it's set to private are people that you manually type in their email accounts. So if you want your students to see this and it's listed as private, you would have to go and copy and paste those student emails because you want them to see it. So that's kind of tedious. And then of course there's public, where anyone with the YouTube link can see it. It can be added and seen in your YouTube channel. If anyone tries typing in YouTube to search for the title, they can find you. They can find the video that you posted. So I personally recommend if you're a very private person and you don't really like to leave a big, thumbprint, you can have the video as unlisted. So anyone with that link can view it, but they can't search for you in YouTube because you're not going to be found. So that kind of gives you some privacy, and it gives you a little bit of both. It's up to you how you want to do that, but I just really wanted to break down the differences between those three. And I recommend, if you're going to be posting your Zoom lectures, to either have it as unlisted or public. Those are probably going to be your two best options. So just to make sure I'm not skipping anything, now that I've explained these three, you are ready to make your selection. And when you do, you're going to click save. And when you click save, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see your video being processed. And as you can tell for this example, it's 56 minutes and 47 seconds. So depending on the length of your recording, it depends on the amount of time it'll take to upload. And then once it's uploaded, you will see your video here, and then you will see that you can share your video. And when you click share, you get that little YouTube generated link, or you can edit video. Now keep in mind, the edit video just means that you're editing the written out information that you posted, which is this right here, the description and the details. It doesn't actually mean that you can edit the recording, the film recording itself. Edit video just means you're editing the typed out information that you posted about your video. So just keep that in mind. And then right here, again, is a YouTube link that I created that pretty much just plays out all of these screenshots that I displayed for you in the presentation. So I'm going to play that for you.
The purpose of this video is to walk you through uploading your Zoom recording to YouTube. Please note that you need to have already created a YouTube account in order to proceed, and you must have already downloaded your Zoom recording. So since I've already created a YouTube account, I will just type in YouTube, and I will click onto YouTube, and here there's a little icon that kind of looks like a camera with a plus sign, and if I hover my mouse over it, it says create. I'm going to click on this, And then I'm going to select Upload Video. When I make that selection, you will see my screen is now ready for me to select a file I have downloaded. And now I'm going to select a Zoom recording that I have downloaded from my alamo.zoom.us. I'm going to click on Downloads, and there's the recording. Then I will click Open. Now you will see that Zoom is starting to download my video. Here I can put in the title, and I can call this Advanced Zoom Session. And then I can give a detailed description about what this video is. So for my detailed description, I put, this is a recording of the Advanced Zoom Session for Convocation 2020. Then I will click Next. Is this made for kids? I'm going to say no, that this is made for adults. Click Next. I'm going to click Next one more time because I have no video elements, and then Visibility. Now, depending on your preference, you can make your selection. Do you want this private to only the people that you give the link, that you share the link to, can view it? Or if you click Unlisted, and now you can choose your visibility. Do you want this to be private, where only you type in the email of those who get to watch this video? Do you want it unlisted, which means anyone that you share your YouTube link can see the video? Or do you want it public, where if anyone tries to type in your name or the title of the YouTube video, it can be found? So for this example, I'm just going to say unlisted, and then I'm going to click Save. Now I will need to allow YouTube to upload my recording. Please do not close this box while it is uploading, but feel free to click around to different tabs while this is uploading, or you can minimize your screen and work on something else, such as your email. So this was a very long recording, so it took about maybe 15 minutes for this to finally upload. And now that it's uploaded, I can click on this and I can see the video play out. This view that you're watching right now is the editing view. So here's what you would see, and you can edit the details of your video. So now if I were to go back home and start all over again, type in YouTube, and if I want to find this video again, I would then scroll down and click Your Videos. And here it will bring up a list of all the videos I have uploaded. I'm like, okay, I want to select Advanced Zoom, and here I can see the video play out. Here on the button that says Share, I'd click this and copy this link and share it out to whoever I want to view this video. I can also edit my video in case I would like to make any changes. And by edit, I mean just the information that you posted in your Zoom. There's no way to really edit the video itself. All you can really do is just edit the details of what is stated about your video. So this concludes how you can upload a video to YouTube.
Okay, so that was a little video that I played out that kind of just demonstrated the screenshots. And now, before I transition, we're going to move on to deleting your Zoom recordings. And before I do that, I want to take this time. Amanda, were there any questions about the uploading process?
There was one question. The question was, is there unlimited space on YouTube to upload videos, or is there a limit to the number of recordings you can upload or length, their size?
Ooh, good question. I do not know.
I Googled real
Did you
quick.
Google it?
I
Yay,
did,
Amanda.
because I didn't know the answer, but I wanted to make sure with you first. But when I Googled, it said no. Essentially, it said that you can upload up to like 2,000 videos per day. So I mean, that seems a bit much, but you know.
That's your Kim Kardashian. Okay. Well, good to know. So don't worry, we're not gonna pull the rug out from under you and say, oh, that's it. If you want to do this anymore, you gotta pay the toll. So that's good to know. Great question. Were there any more?
No, that was it.
All right. Awesome. This is going great. Thank you so much, Amanda. So we are going to move on to deleting the Zoom recording. So you have created your account, you have downloaded your Zoom recordings, you have uploaded your Zoom recordings. Now we must go back and delete those Zoom recordings because we do not need that taking up space in our Alamo Zoom. And again, even if you are creating your Zoom in Canvas, you have to go to Alamo Zoom in order to delete your recordings. Again, Alamo Zoom is kind of like the mothership, the hub of where you can have access to these items. You can't have access to this, to some of the system settings in Canvas, but you do have those accesses available in Alamo Zoom. So real quick, again, I have my screenshots here for you. The first one is going to alamo.zoom and then clicking on recordings. And when you do, you will see a list of recordings, and then you have this little checkbox. And you can put the little check mark next to the items that you want to delete. And of course, if you're not too sure, you forgot, was this the video that I uploaded? You can always click on files and feel free to play that recording out and see if that's the right one that you want to delete. And then once you know for sure, okay, this is the one I'm deleting, you would then click delete selected. So any of those little check boxes, any of those little checks that you put on those boxes right there can be deleted when you click on that button. And then once you do that, you will see that it gets deleted and then it gets sent to the trash. Now, let's say you accidentally deleted the wrong Zoom recording. Well, it's super easy. If you need to retrieve that, all you would do is you would click on recordings. And then as you go on to click the recordings, you will see the word trash and in the far right side. And when you click on the word trash, you will see a list of items that you've deleted. And then all you would have to do is click on the word recover, and then it'll go back to the list of recordings. But please keep in mind that once you delete a recording, it will stay in your trash for only 30 days. And then after that, it's done. It's picked up, it's taken to the curb, they picked it up, it's gone. So keep that in mind. So you're only allowed to recover, you have a certain time period, a little grace period of recovery. So 30 days. And then after that, that's it. You can't find it. They picked it up from the curb. You might be able to go to the flea market, see if you can find it again, but chances are it's not going to happen. So please keep that in mind. And once again, I have a video displaying these little screenshots that I laid out before you.
The purpose of this video is to walk you through how to delete your Zoom recordings. Please keep in mind your Zoom recordings should not be deleted until you have saved them to your computer. First, I'm going to log on to alamo.zoom.us. Then I will sign in. Next, I'm going to view my recordings. Now, for all intents and purposes, we are going to pretend that these recordings have already been downloaded to my computer. When I want to delete a Zoom recording, I will simply click this box next to the title. As I do so, you will see that Delete Selected is now available for me to push. I can choose to delete all, or I can just go in and collectively select which recordings I want to delete. So for this example, I'm going to delete this recording. I'm going to make my selection, and then I will click Delete. It will prompt me with the follow-up question. I will select Yes, and now that recording has been deleted. Now let's say, for example, I made a mistake. I did not mean to delete that recording. I can always go to my trash and I can make my selections on which recording I would like to recover. So this one was deleted September 8th. This is the one I want to recover. I didn't mean to delete that one. And once I do that, I click back on the recordings button, and I will scroll down and I will see that my recorded item has now been returned. So please keep in mind, whenever you do delete something, and it was a mistake, you can always select on the word trash to retrieve that particular item. But do please keep in mind that once you've deleted a recording, after 30 days, the trash will be emptied automatically, and therefore you'll not be able to recover these files. Please keep in mind that it is strongly recommended that you do not delete your recordings until they have been downloaded and saved.
Okay, so let me exit that out. All right, so before I transition, I want to ask Amanda, were there any questions about this process?
There's one question that just could be good to address as a group, because I did answer it in the chat, but just in case. On YouTube, you know how you have to be verified before you can post longer videos? We kind of ran into that as like a TLC, but it's like a two-factor authorization, basically, where like you have to, when you sign up with a basic account, it limits your videos to 15 minutes max. But as soon as you put in your email information and I think a little bit of additional information, it allows you to become verified, which is a confusing word because verified on other social media sites means that you're like famous. But this is actually just verifying your information. And then once you do that, you can upload files of any size.
Yep.
That was, sorry. I
No,
know I
that's
posted
great.
it, but I thought it was important to bring it up. Let me make sure. And then I think we're good.
Okay, awesome. So we're getting ready to kind of bring this towards the end here. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to invite everyone to have a chance to subscribe to our TLC YouTube channel. So as I stated how this session was going to be recorded, and what you can do is after you subscribe to this, you can actually find this recording. Once I have a chance to upload it, will be added to our TLC YouTube channel. So I'm going to, if you did not get the access to have this PDF, we'll send it again in the chat just to make sure everyone has access. So where is it? So if you haven't had a chance, I just sent it in the chat right now. Feel free to access that. And that brings us towards the end of our session here. So I think we did really good on time here, so that's good. I'm gonna open it up to any questions. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Let's see, Dr. Amby, I see you have a question. Let me unmute you. Well, no, you're gonna have to, yeah.
Thank you so much, Mallory. Thank you so much.
Oh.
I've just been prompting questions on Amanda and she's answered every one of them. Thank you so much. I have this concern which I want to share with you. Most establishments would want to verify material before it goes out there because we are faculty of the district, but we also belong to the district. And so are there any rules and regulations on verification for whatever material we as faculty put out there in YouTube?
That would be a good question for your department chair, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if there's going to be any issues as far as what materials you're presenting out there. The only thing I could think of is if you are displaying copyrighted, materials that the author is asking people to, pay for before they have access to that. But I mean, I don't see anyone creating a YouTube video that's going to be, demonstrating, access that should have been paid for ahead of time. But other than that, I mean, there's nothing that I can think of right away, but just to kind of, it's a great question. I would just ask the department chair to just verify if there's anything that you need to be aware of, because a great question, but I know I wasn't able to answer that one.
Thank you.
Were there any other questions or comments, or feel free to unmute yourself.
Okay, I had a question. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you, yes.
Okay, so my question was, as far as our Zoom recordings, I've seen some professors that they're able to have their students access the Zoom recording directly from Canvas from their Zoom tab. How, you know, as opposed to downloading it and then uploading it to YouTube, are you able to take us through that process?
So I know students can go back and view the recordings within a Canvas if it was created in Canvas, but you have to keep in mind that the district is going to ask you to delete those recordings, because those aren't going to stay there as a permanent fix. It's going to be deleted. And if you get a new class, those recordings aren't going to be accessible if you start a new semester. So the only way to guarantee that you would have access to any of those recordings is if you download them to your computer. Now, the same steps that I took you through Alamo Zoom are going to be the same steps that you would follow, regardless of it being in Canvas or going into Alamo Zoom.
Mallory,
Yes.
do you mean, Roberto, you know how you can create an assignment and you can put the URL in there? Is that what you're talking about in Canvas?
No, I've seen it where I think there's a way to just share it with the students. So after you've done that certain class, you can share the recording and they're able to go in there and they have the option of downloading the file themselves onto their computer or just view the recording itself.
Yeah, and that's available, but again, that's temporary. So if you plan on wanting to have that recording for next semester or even a year from now, you're not going to be able to share that out because it's going to be deleted after a while. And district has a tendency to send out emails when the cloud gets too full, asking for some of these recordings to be deleted and stating that after X amount of time, all Zoom recordings will be deleted because they need to start fresh again. So yes, that's great if that they have that accessibility right away. But again, it's just a short-term availability because that will disappear once the Canvas course is ended and you get a new section. So it's just, you want to think about the items that you're downloading and saving. These are going to be the items that are going to be your go-to for, next year and the following year. So those are the kinds of things that you want to think about as items that you want to choose to download, that you don't want this certain thing to be deleted.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can the students upload the videos in YouTube?
Anyone who has access to internet, they can upload videos to YouTube.
Also our lectures, also our Zoom lecturing, they can post there.
If you allow students if you have the recordings in your Canvas and students download them, and if they decide they're just a fan of yours that they want to put it on their YouTube channel, anything that they can download, they can post to YouTube. So it's mostly a preference. If you want to make sure that no one is able to download any of your Zoom recordings without your permission, then I would, take Zoom off that navigation and do the usual meeting link to be shared via copy and paste in a
Right.
Canvas course.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Any other questions?
Actually, I got a question that I'm just going to kind of rephrase because I think it's a pretty straightforward answer. But so let's say you post a video to YouTube, but you don't want your students to view it forever. So what would you can delete that eventually, right? So that way the access is taken away, or change the video to private.
Correct. Yes, if you change, at any point in time, you can, remember when I click that edit video button, it pulls up the visibility. So you can change that visibility from public to private, from unlisted to private at any given time. So if you want to, you know, they are just falling in love with you too much, you got to cut them off from your lectures, you know, no cheating. You can just switch that to private and now they can't rely on you. So yes. Great question. I'm really digging the purple jacket. I'm not gonna lie, and the hat. I'm all about a good suit.
Thank you very much.